write music, you perform music, you write poetry, done an opera. I mean, what haven't you done? But let's talk about what is your creative process? How does it work?
Well, you asked what I did yesterday. For example, I have lots of papers always, you know, I'll never get through them all. But I started going through some old files and some old papers, and some that were just lying on my coffee table in my bedroom. And I found all kinds of things that I thought, wow, that would be great in the piece that I'm writing now for a possible second phase of my memoir. And I put a paper clip in it, and then I attached it to the page. I thought it would go well. And then I put the whole thing in some place that I'll never find again for another 3 years when I'll be writing something else. So I'm very messy. I'm not organized. I think somehow the disorganization leads to the creative process, and I don't know why, except that I think it's about picking up pieces from this and that, because if I find something and it doesn't go in the story that I'm writing, I put a note to myself, use in song for the Beach Boys, say, for example. And I used to be able to write songs when I was sitting in Grand Central Station waiting for the train, but I couldn't write it when I was at home at my desk, supposedly going to write. I could only write if there was chaos around me, because I would get the energy from the chaos and focus it in on the particular subject that I was working on.
Get the energy from the chaos?
Not consciously. I think it's something that happens osmotically, if that's a word. It happens by osmosis, that there's just all of this buzz around me, and in some way it's going to inspire me to greater heights.
Well, I want to carry on with the process, but at some point things have to come together. Do you take yourself off and you're alone, or you prefer to have some chaos around you?
Well, say I have a notebook, as I did in the case in 1973 or 73 or 72 maybe. I had a notebook with just one thing at the very end of the notebook, and I don't know why it went at the end, but it said, "You're so vain, you probably think this song is about you." So, and I just had that for a long time. I even forgot that I had it. And I had no idea what it was going to go to or what it was going to relate to. And then maybe 6 months later, my sister Joanna was giving a party, and there was somebody who walked into the party, and a friend of mine said to me, "Doesn't he look like he's just walking onto a yacht?" And so I thought, I've got to write that down. He walked into the party like he was walking onto a yacht.
There's been a lot in print and a lot said and done about, you know, at whom was that directed, who was that about? And I know you kept it secret for a long time and then eventually talked about Warren Beatty, but I'm not interested so much in that. What I am interested in is it really deals with ego, narcissism, and it's very hard to become a megastar and remain one as you have. Where is the line between ego as a motivator for your creative process before it dissolves into narcissism, if not something worse?
It doesn't have to dissolve into narcissism. Narcissism can lead it. There's a narcissism of a newborn child. I've seen the progress of babies being born, and there are some that are inherently shy and withdrawn, and there are others that say, me, look at me. And so it's a trait. Now, I happen to have a paradoxical trait because I was born very shy, and I was born without the desire to be in front of anybody or to show off, and that was underlined by my father's lack of interest in me. I was the third daughter, and for various reasons I didn't look the way he wanted me to look. He took beautiful pictures of my older sisters, and he took ones of me that looked like a clown. In his eyes, I was not a beautiful daughter. And so I sort of thought of myself as being a goof. And as much as I love other goofs, I didn't love myself for it, because to me, being a goof meant not having my father's appreciation. And so I withdrew, and somehow, paradoxically, there was a part in me that said, me. And it didn't really develop until I thought that the other way of being not loved enough was impossible for me to deal with. So in school, I tried so hard to be popular, and I had a terrible stammer. And so I finally asked my mother, what can I do to make people love me? And she gave me one hint, was don't ever say a nasty word about anybody. And so I became Pollyanna-ish, obnoxious a little bit, but it worked for me. I mean, and I also saw how happy it made other people to feel that they were glowing in my eyes. And the more I did that, the more I started sort of genuinely feeling that way about people, that there was something treasurable in everybody. And just the more I did that, the more I was liked. And finally I was elected the queen of the 6th grade.
From where did your music talent come? Did you start early playing the piano?
There were various things that fed into my becoming a musician, which I can call myself. I wouldn't call myself a schooled musician in any sense of the word. But because music was so much an integral part of my household, because I couldn't speak, because I stammered so badly, my mother taught me a trick. She said, just tap on your leg when you can't say something. She said this in front of the rest of my family, so it was a safe group. She said, just tap your leg and see if it's easier, if there's a beat to it. So if you're trying to, the word happened to be pass the butter that I was trying to say, and I was going and clogging up in my throat, and she would say, just go, pass the butter, or sing it, pass the butter, pass the butter, pass the butter, pass the butter, and with more and more intricate, and so as I began to sing things, so did everybody else in the family.